Welcome again to another episode of Remote Agric free webinar. This webinar is coming live to us on Friday, the 31st of January 2025. This is a program that has been building us and empowering us for all agricultural information and tips and guide. So where are you joining us from? I want to read that from the meeting chat. Where are you joining us from? Okay, Oyediro is joining us from Ile-Ife, Osun State. Fantastic. And Ile-Ife is where our farm is. Who else is joining us? Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? I can see Michael. I can see
I'm joining you from Maiduguri. From Abuja.
From Abuja. Thank you so much for joining us from Abuja. We are not going to waste time because today is loaded. Today is loaded. We are launching a lot of products today, and we are also taking us through this topic, challenges farmers face on how to overcome them. We'll look at key takeaway, land challenges, labor challenges, capital challenges, entrepreneurs challenges, and all that. My name is Dayo Aditloe, the CEO of Remote Agric, and I have on the program today our co-founder and the Chief Operations Officer of the Remote Agric. He will be sharing his experience on challenges farmers face and how to overcome them. We've structured it in a way that both of us will be talking on the same challenges, but he will be giving us more practical tips, especially how Remote Agric has been solving some of these challenges and the global best standard to solve these challenges. So today, the agenda we have today is to look at the top 10 challenges farmers face and how to overcome them. Number 2, launch of Quad 2 of Own a Yam Farm remotely. This particular one is going to be from February 2025 to February 2026. And we are going to launch that today. Also, we are going to launch Own a Cassava Farm remotely. It is a project that we'll be working on, and today we are going to open it up. Also, we are going to launch the February cohort of Own a Pig farm remotely. For the pig farm, you remember we launched this about 2 months ago. So every month there is a cohort of the Own a Pig farm. And we also have scheduled February farm visits to our farm for February visit, and this will be taking place as scheduled as well. So my first approach to agriculture in 2025, and this quote is that find a way to participate in agriculture either actively or remotely. Either actively or remotely. Why? Because there's something we call food insecurity that Africa is facing right now, and we need to increase our capacity in food production. One of the key aspects of Remote Agric is to ensure that we give opportunity for people to be able to participate in agriculture remotely. So in Remote Agric, so the first session today is to introduce us to Remote Agric and what we are doing currently. And from that, we switch into the topic for the day. And after that, we open up the conversation for everyone. So our services at Remote Agric, agro-processing, crop production, livestock farming, remote farming services, agricultural consultancy and advisory, agro-logistics and supply chain management, agro-tourism and eco real estate development, agricultural training, education and capacity building, agro input supply, seeds, fertilizer, pesticide, and distribution. So you see all this in our services. So our launch project is on a yam farm remotely. And this is a farm cycle of October 2025 to 2024 to October 2025. And the product was sold for 1,300. We are going to launch another one today, and the price of that one will be a bit different from this. The second quote of Own a Yam Farm is going to be launched today, and this cycle will be February 2025 cycle to February 2026 cycle. So we have great experience in helping professionals and urban investors to own farm and farm in the rural area. And currently, our farm is located in Okpa Alakowe community of Ile-Ife. And we are paying a visit for it uh, by February 28th, that's Friday, to 1st of March, which will be Saturday. So let's be preparing for that program. From our research, we discovered that the quality of yam we have in the public space is not good enough. For example, the remote agric yam is the one that is showing you white. Even after 30 minutes of cutting it, it's still as white as snow. And for some of the yams we have outside there, in less than a minute of cutting it, it will start showing you the red color, which shows that it's not quality. So the package that just finished, the October to October on a yam farm that just finished, the price for that package was 1,300 per unit. Currently, for the February to February package, the price has increased a little bit. It's now 1,500 per unit. So for some of us that would like to take advantage of that, that is for our information. And you can come in with any unit between 10 units, which is the minimum, to 1,000 units, which is the upper starting point at the upper limit. Okay. So you want to ask what is the ROI of our yam farm? Basically, from the calculation, you can see is 38.46%. And this is what you get when you are part of this project. Also, for this particular one, we also have the opportunity for you to have physical yam. Okay, you have physical yam, or you collect your returns, your cash and returns. So there's a breakdown that speaks to that. Okay. So another thing that we launched in Remote Agric is own a pig farm remotely. This is a monthly quote launch that you can come in with as low as 10 units. Per unit is 2,000 naira. Can come in as low as 10 units to be part of this package as well. This is one of our facility that we use for our own pig farm project. And if you'll be part of this, definitely you are going to have a good returns for your work. Our target is that monthly, we want to be able to have a cycle of 5,000 units every month. 1 unit is equal to 1 kg and is equal to 2,000 naira. At harvest, you will be having 2,500 naira as your total package, and the ROI for that is 25%. So this is opportunity for us to be part of what we do in remote agri. And like I said, today, we are going to launch the cassava project, and every other thing will be discussed. So that's just to give us a brief of what we do at Remote Agri. I'm going to be inviting our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker today has over 15 years of experience in practical agricultural and real-time farming. That means there's nothing you want to talk about in as a farmer that he has not experienced, and he will be able to share with us real-time practices on the farm that is helping us to overcome challenges that farmers face. So I'll just do a brief introduction, then by the time I pick one challenge, we will look at that challenge and speak to it. So farming is essential for food security and economic growth. Despite its importance, farmers face numerous challenges that threatens productivity and sustainability. And this presentation explores the top challenges and how to overcome them. So challenge number 1 is climate challenge and unpredictable weather. As I welcome our guest today, Mr. Oludaremu Dashiru, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Dayo, for that introduction. I can't, just let me know. If you can hear me, okay.
Okay, I
Right.
think the network.
Okay, don't worry, I know what exactly is like. Try. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's clear now.
Okay. It's clear. It's clearer now. Okay, that's fine.
Yes, very good.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I want to welcome everybody again this evening. Thank you very much for keeping it a date with us on the Remote Agri webinar. Sorry, I won't be able to do video, just the way Dayo has been able to do video. I'm sure once you can hear me, it's probably better for me to keep it like that, because sometimes the network can be a bit funny around here. I would have also loved to be able to turn on my video so that you can actually see in real time what what it feels like and what it looks like to be on the field 24/7. I quickly had to run out of the field as we are currently working on bringing in some of the harvests from the last year work. As we speak right now, we are bringing in the maize harvest into the warehouse. We are storing them up because we are not interested in selling now. And that's part of some of the solutions that we are going to be talking about with respect to the work that the farmers are supposed to be doing. Now, you talk about climate change challenges. It's a major challenge, erratic rainfall affected us massively last year. We lost about close to 4 hectares of maize farm. All right. We lost, yes, close to about 4 hectares of maize farm last year, and our outputs in, we took a measurement this afternoon on the farm to have an idea of what we have. And we found out that what we have in terms of output is way lesser than what we had last year. And that, of course, buttresses that fact that the climatic change, that we had last year, a temporary, there was something that NIMET called it. I think it was a mid-year dry season, something like that, where we had about 7 weeks of no rain, and that really affected, and I'm not talking of before the rainy season, I'm talking of right inside the rainy season. Within the rainy season, we had about close to about 8 weeks of no rain. And there was nothing any farmer could have done to salvage that situation, because you could never have imagined that, you would say, okay, well, it's going to rain tomorrow, it's going to rain next tomorrow. So before you know what's happening, 4 weeks is gone. And once you have counted 4 weeks of no rain on the field, it would have affected the crop, no matter what type of crop you have, except for the tuber crops that really wouldn't feel that drought if they have reached certain stages of growth. But if you have just planted them, they are likely to also have to feel the effect of that erratic weather. So one of the things that you use climate practices, I wish that many of us can come around for the farm visit that is happening end of this new month that we're going into, February stroke the first day of March this year. It will be good for us to really see in practical context what we are talking about when we talk about being climate smart. Okay, then any commercial farmer would need to invest in one form of irrigation system or the other. It's very, very important. You need to do that. All right. Even at the basic level, try as much as you can to make sure that you invest in some form of irrigation system, whether you are using the drip system, whether you are using the hose and the water engine system, whether you are even using innovative method of using PET bottles and the likes. Just make sure that you have one form of irrigation plan or the other. It's also important if you can do some water conservation designs in your farm. Okay, you may not. I wouldn't know how to explain this right now, but you can actually dig spaces within your farm during the raining season. You can dig, you could cement the places. It becomes like trenches, you can have those trenches and they can help you to conserve water in the raining season, and then you can use them once you come into the dry season, or when you have droughts during the season, right in the middle of the season. If we have the kind of mid-year drought that we had last year, you might then be able to use the water that you have conserved within your farm premises. All right. Then crop diversity is an important, in fact, it's the most important of all the climate adaptation method. Crop diversity, you must ensure that in your production basket, make sure you diversify your production basket. All right. Make sure that your basket is a well-diversified basket when you are looking at your production, processes. When you're looking at the crops, when you're looking at the produce, make sure that you diversify. Don't stay on one crop. In fact, don't stay on 2 or 3 crops. Make sure you are doing in between 5 to 10 crops. That way, whatever happens, you can be sure that your returns on investment will be guaranteed. because that's what is mostly important for farmers. Farmers need to understand how to ensure that the production investment is at a guaranteed level. So come what may, come rain, sun, shine, you will be bringing in harvest. Because till a farmer brings in harvest, there is no profit. All right. And the farmer needs to bring in harvest consistently. Because for me, Greg, we say profitability. If you cannot sustain it, you may not be able to make it profitable. Sustainability before profitability. Once you can sustain it, once you can keep it going for at least a minimum of 5 years, you can be sure that profitability is a guaranteed experience. So eventually, returns on investment will come, because agriculture, and especially arable food crop, all right, food crop production needs a lot of patient funding. The kind of funding that should come into your production process is such that has a lot of patience, that can allow you to practice some resilience. Farmers that are not resilient, farmers that cannot sustain their process, may not be able to talk about profitability. So it's important that you diversify, your production basket, either livestock wise or food production, agricultural food production, or any other crop production activities that you do. Ensure that you diversify. That I pass it on.
Okay, great. So can you speak to some of the things we are doing in remote agri as far as crop diversity is concerned, and also livestock? You can just speak a little about that.
Beautiful. With respect to what we do at remote agri, for example, let me just realize in terms of the products and the packages that we have. Yes, we have launched the yam on a yam farm, project. We are launching the Own a Cassava Farm project. Now, the reason we have done that is because those choice of crop are crops that are naturally resilient. They are crops that whatever happens to the climate, those crops will always do well. As long as your agronomy practices is spot on, as long as all hands are on deck during the production period, all right, you can be sure, you can be very certain that even if you get just 2-3 weeks of rain, those crops will do what they are supposed to do. You understand what I'm trying to say? We go back in time to year 2020. Year 2020 was a very peculiar year where, in fact, for many farmers, it was a year that many farmers don't pray to have again, especially the arable farmers, the food crop producers. Because year 2020 was, wow. The drought, the level, the rainfall was so low. It was so low that a lot of food produce didn't do well. But guess what? That was the year that tuber crops did phenomenally well. Cassava from 2020 started going up. Till 2020, potato started going up till date. Yam, tubers, they've just, because they are naturally resilient. All right? So we at Remote Agri decided to pick on crops that we know are resilient, and we farm them in large scale. We target large scale commercial production of those resilient crops. All right, so that's one. Also, In livestock, when you do livestock, you are, because you know, one of the greatest challenges that farmers have been facing in Nigeria is production insurance. Farmers don't easily get insurance for their, you know, for their work. I mean, you go to the Bank of Agric, zero. You go to, you know, the agricultural production insurance, blah blah blah, is zero. Now, when you look at the processes of even getting those insurance done, it's a tall order. All right. So because of that, it is very smart for any farmer to be extremely intelligent with the choice of produce or livestock that they've decided to do. So at that, we, of course, you can understand our own strategy is to pick on resilient, we pick on naturally resilient products. And that was why we went for pig farming.
All right, that's
we went for pig farming, and remote agric, because we know. Hello, Dayo, you said something.
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
Yes, so we went for pig farming because we know that you know, when you do piggery, pigs are also very resilient. They are very, very resilient. I mean, except for swine flu. I mean, you hardly, I mean, when you do what you are supposed to do, once you follow the rules, and for us, especially on the production side, we are stickler for rules. You come to our field, our agronomy practices will tell you how much we stick to rules. So also our livestock practices also tells you how much we also you know, stick to rules. So we are stickler to rules. So right. So we chose those crops, and outside that, we also, I mean, because of the integrated production process that we have adopted, all right, we have access to a large deposit of, you know, soil that is rich in manure, in organic, you know, in manure, you know. So we've launched massive sack farming operation, all right. And the reason we've done that is also to manage the climate change issues, all right. It's to also manage the climate change issues, because now, by the time, you know, so that it doesn't look as if we are hyping the farm visit, it's very important. In fact, one of the reasons many cultural projects or innovations around agriculture has failed is because a lot of the investors didn't take that visit to the production environment, the production estates, the production ecosystem. They didn't take that visit to be very important. And so the people who collected the funds just did whatever they could do, did a lot of abracadabra, and before you know what could happen, say Jack Robinson, then you can't find them again. So, but by the time you come in to see what we are doing, all right, and how we are doing it, it gets better. All right, whatever is it we are saying is not can't be as interesting as you seeing it and asking real-time questions. So we really would appreciate that that many people from this group will be able to make that visit. Whether you can't make the visit and you can join us virtually, it will be very, very good. All right. So we launched a massive sack farming operation. And the reason we did that is also because we realized that the amount of water that is needed for irrigation, regardless of the system you adopt, all right, is so much, all right. And when you irrigate on the normal field, you cannot control the evapotranspiration rate as much as you can if you do sack farming. And so if you can conserve the amount of water where you have it means that the quantity of water you would need for irrigation will be lesser compared to somebody who is doing an open field irrigation system. All right. So, but when you come around, you then will be able to see what this is about. For us, we do integrated production process. I mean, the waste from our beans, cowpea production is currently being used in our sack farming. The waste from the rice field is currently being used. All right. The maize stalk from the maize field has been used completely, used up completely, because we used that for mulching of the yam. While we also use the beans, stem for, in fact, that will do dual purpose for us, serves dual purpose. We use it in the production of compost, and we also use it for mulching. We use the rice stalk for compost and also for mulching. So when you come around, you'll be able to see that. So we have launched massive sack farming while we are also doing field irrigation production. There are, for example, as we speak right now, in the peak of the dry season, we are currently cultivating cassava. We are currently, as we speak right now, in fact, if I can finish earlier, I am probably still going to have to do the irrigation that should be done tonight, as far as the cassava is concerned, is done. All right. So while some people will be looking for 30,000 liters of water, we probably will just be looking for maybe 8,000 liters of water to do what the 30,000 liters will do in terms of returns, not even in terms of produce. We are not talking about crop to land density now. We are talking about cultivation to revenue generation. That is very important. That is extremely important. All right. So that you can be sure that vertically and horizontally, your system is fully integrated. Production to revenue side, you have a fully integrated operation. So that's part of what we are doing at remote farming, remote agric, so that we would never be among such and such that complains about climate change and the unpredictable weather as the reason for failure.
All right, thank you so much for that deep explanation to address the challenge of climate change and unpredictable weather. So we move to number 2 quickly. Lack of access to finance. This is a major aspect. Can you speak to this as well?
Well, it's an interesting one, Dayo. You know, if for us at Remote Agric, well, if you remember, and for anybody that is on this platform, there's a video that Dayo used to, anytime Dayo needs to introduce me to any group, you know, you would always send the video. Now, if the people listen very well to that video, there's an aspect in that video that speaks to how much we have pursued, you know, access to grants. You remember that video was done, I think, in 2019, if you can remember, Dayo. And that video was done purposely because we were chasing the Tony Elumelu Fund, the Tony Elumelu Foundation, you know, a grant, $5,000, you know, I think that was it. And despite that much work that we've been doing before that time, and despite how much we had to do, even in the production of that video was not, I mean, as of 2019, the production house that came to do that video for us even did the best they could in terms of technology. They deployed drone cameras and all of that, just for us to be able to showcase what we believed in and what we've been doing. It's not that what we wanted to do. No, what we have been doing that we have results for. Despite that, we did not get that grant. And till date, Dayo can bear me witness, we haven't gotten a grant yet. All right. So that speaks to the challenges of finance. But remember that I said something earlier, that for us, remote agri, for us at agricultural ventures that we will still create, we have adopted this very important saying that sustainability before profitability. All right. So it is always very difficult for farmers that are given to what they love to do. Farmers just love to be on the field, and that's the truth. I mean, you want to take a farmer off the field, I don't know how you can. In fact, for Dayo to be able to get me off, if I can switch on my video, you would understand. As I'm talking to you, I'm still in my farm gear. There was no way I could change from my farm gear to something casual before the meeting, because I only had about 5 minutes or so when, so you can see, so that you can understand what I was saying. All right, this is what it feels like on a typical day. You know, the heart is necessary because of the sun, and look at that. So, you know, this is what it's like. So it's always very difficult to get the farmer off the field. All right. So because of how difficult it is to get the farmers off the field, they often do not have the time to pursue you know, seeking funding, because you would always have to leave the field to be able to go and, you know, pursue the benefactors. You know, whether it's an organization, whether it's a bank, whether it's a, you know, even the government grants have not been forthcoming. The last time we had a very successful grant program was during the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's administration, when they did the UWIN program. That was the best of the best that we had as a program, you know, in Nigeria, that gave, you know, grants to everybody, including farmers. All right. So it's always very difficult for farmers access to grants. All right. So because of that, farmers should learn business development. All right. Farmers should learn business development. In fact, I always tell people, I said, I'm first a businessman before being a farmer. So understanding the importance of, you know, business development is fundamental to your success on the field. All right. Being in a production cooperative that have a solid understanding about the need for connecting the production side to the finance side is very important. You must have, of course, as much as possible, whatever you hear or whenever you have the information about a government program, a subvention program, a grant program, or even sometimes a loan, but most times, I'm not always very, the loan side is always very tricky. It's always very tricky. The reason is, it's not that farmers can't use loan, but don't forget that because of certain factors that cannot be controlled 100% by the farmer. In economics, you have this saying that all things being equal, but in agricultural production, all things are not always equal. You understand that? So because of that, I'm not always very welcoming to loans, except they have actually been designed purposely for the process of agricultural production. So, but if you can go for grants, if you can get angel investors, if you can get equity investors, if you can get people who wants to invest in the production processes, not just people who are looking for quick returns, high yield returns, people who are given to sustaining agricultural production. When you find such persons, please present your business plan to them. Bankable business plan, feasible business plan, business plans that makes the mouth of the investors very watery. And I tell you, like I've always told a lot of people, that if you're looking for the best venture that can guarantee investments from investors, think through agricultural production very well, and you'll be able to present a very good plan to investors. So, joint farmers cooperative. I mean, at Remote Agri, we'll be launching. That's also one of the products that we'll be launching within the next 1 to 2 months. We should be launching farmer production cooperative. All right, we'll be launching Remote Agri farmer production cooperative. So when you join that cooperative, everything about farming cooperatives you would learn. I mean, that is very important, because the kind of support network that you get from a group of people that understands agricultural production, that understands the nitty-gritty of agricultural production, the kind of support you get from people who have solved the production problem is fantastic. And when you have people like that and you join forces with them, success is most likely. In fact, success is actually guaranteed.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move to the next question. High cost of farm inputs. I know the major challenge. This is one is a practical one.
Very practical.
Can you speak to this as well?
Well, with respect to of farm input, right? There's not so much the farmers can do, all right, except that you are now thinking of buying in bulk, reducing dependency and
Okay, we can't hear you again. Okay, maybe network. We can't hear him again. So let's just wait a bit. So pending the time we hear him, he's going to join back. We are speaking to high cost of farm inputs. And it's not just high cost, it's the fact that the cost is rising. The cost of seed, the cost of fertilizer, the cost of pesticide, even the cost of farm inputs, all these things are increasing. and definitely is adding to the cost side of farming. So what do we do to reduce or to manage this situation? And Mr. Oluda Mudashiru said that from the farmer side, that number one, you can reduce the costs because you are not the one selling it. The seedlings, the fertilizer, you are not the one selling it. So you can reduce the cost. So some of the things you can do is bulk purchases, just like he was explaining before the network went off. Bulk purchases. You want to practice organic farming to reduce dependency on chemical inputs. Even when you want to, there are some organic fertilizers now that people sell. Even that one too, you still have to spend money to get them. So here we said explore local seed banks and manual-based fertilizer. So you want to look at the cost of operation of your farm, and you want to look at every way to cut costs. You want to put it into consideration everywhere that you can cut costs in your farm activity. You want to explore that. So at Remote Agri, one of the things we do in terms of high cost of farm input, number one, we buy in bulk and stock some of our inputs, especially when it comes to herbicide, pesticide, fertilizers. What we will use this year now, at least 50% of them have been stocked. So that if in the next 3 months the thing goes up again, at least you have some level of stock already that you can use for your business, for your farming activity. And this is very important when we are farming. I know some of us here, you run your farm practically. I know Mr. Luca is here, and some 2 other people that you are involved in practical farming. How do you manage your own cost of farm inputs? We would also like to learn from you before we move to the next point. Anybody will want to share before we move to the next point? Anybody, Mr. Luca? If you are chanced, you can just share with us how you've been managing high cost of farm inputs. All right, so while we wait for him, let's move to the next point.
Hello, Dayo.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what, like I said, it's always a problem, but I've moved to another device. So let's keep going. I've changed.
All right, nice.
Yes, I've changed the device. So yes,
Okay.
high cost of input, that is not so much in the control of the farmer and the hand of, in the control, or it's not in the hand of the farmer. All right. We have had an administration in this country that removed tax from all agricultural inputs. And when that happened, I remember that in one of those years, we got to the market and we found an equipment, and I'm sharing now so that you can, so that we can pick on such. We found an equipment in the market, and we found out that, oh wow, what an equipment! This is an innovation that will make a lot of sense, on the farm. And what we did that very day was for us to buy 5 of that particular equipment, 5 of the same equipment, 5. the same color, the same function, the same company. We bought 5. And if I can remember very well, we got each of that particular equipment at about 27 or 28,000. And as I speak to you right now, that equipment is almost equivalent to 100,000 naira. And we've used it for about 5 years. So what I often tell farmers is this: because you are in this business and you have chosen to be in this business for as long as you can, whatever it is that you find in the marketplace that would enhance your work and make your work very easier to do, it's better. If you don't have the money, borrow. If you cannot borrow, sell something, buy that equipment, get the equipment. Now, we also had the practice some years back where we would always stock up our store, our input store. I mean, especially for chemical inputs. So we went to the market. Every time we have, we make sales, large sales. The first thing we do is we don't take profits. We don't take profits. We don't take profit at all, because we know that, you know, maintaining production, being on the production field is the only thing that makes us farmers. All right. Every time whenever we are not on the field, we are not supposed to be called farmers. So because we have chosen not to stop doing this work, we always stock up our store. All right. Sometimes we buy things that we probably will not consume in 1 year. I can tell you there's one of the products that we use right now that we bought that product. This is funny. We bought that product 2016, Dio. As I speak to you right now, that product is no longer in the market. We got it then. 4 liters of it was around 25,000 naira then. And to use that product, you don't need more than 1 drop. That is a meal, 1 meal for every 1 liter of water. You can imagine how little that is. And it's almost like an activator. It's both an activator, it's a fertilizer. It does a lot of work, only for us to get to the market and we can't find it again. The product they have now used to substitute that particular product, I can't imagine myself buying it because it now looks astronomically expensive. So as long as you are going to remain in production, your store is the most important. Your input store is the most important. Because as long as you have your input store stocked up, your production fields are always guaranteed. Did you get that? Once your input store are stocked up, productivity, output from your production fields are guaranteed. So bulk purchase is very important. And of course, as we launch the cooperatives, we can be looking at that and be solving such problem. I mean, local seed banks, manure-based fertilizer, like I said, I've spoken about that earlier. How much of that we are using as we speak, all right? And because we operate an integrated system within our own production ecosystem, we have a huge deposit of manure-based, nutrients, and we are using it. Of course, we understand, the processes of composting, and because we know that, that's also, technical skills that we have acquired over the years in year 2015, we took a trip all the way to Ghana to, see two very important companies then that were into commercial production of organic fertilizer, and they were doing it from manure. All right. They had a company called Jekora and another company called Zoomlion. And there were two major big companies in Accra that were doing that. And we went there because we knew that, I'm talking of year 2015. All right. So if we made the trip in 2015 and here we are in 2025, using the skill that we acquired in 2015, you can see how important it is for anyone that is willing to make a life or build a career or make an occupation out of the agricultural space. So it's a sustainable space. So whatever skill you have acquired, whatever input you have stocked up, okay, whatever competencies, whatever network you have built, whatever cooperative you have enhanced is definitely going to yield. It's definitely going to yield because human beings will not stop to feed on agricultural produce.
Okay, so as we run through this, I can see Damilola's hand up. Maybe he wants to make one or two contributions at this point. Let's hear what Damilola will want to contribute. Damilola, you can unmute yourself and make your contribution.
All right, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm actually in transit, so I'm just trying to follow the seminar. I just want to ask, after the completion of the project, I want to ask in terms of logistics. The farm is in Ile-Ife. So if I decide that you should not help me to sell it, what is the logistic around it to get those products? Like for me that I stay in Lagos, how do I get those products and what is the financial implication for taking it down to Lagos on my behalf?
All right, thank you very much. So Damilola is asking about the One Yam Farm project of remote agric. And so Damilola, there's going to be a warehouse in Lagos that everybody in Lagos can come and pick your yam for people that want the yam physically. And any other logistics issues around it, we'll let you know, but there will be a warehouse in Lagos where you will be able to drive down and pick your yam. All right, so I think that we answer that.
If I can also add to that, don't forget that once harvest is becoming ready, we'll do that. The logistics of moving the yam from the field to the warehouse facility in Lagos is also going to be borne by the owners of the yam that wants theirs supplied to them. All right, so that they won't be thinking that it's only the logistics of picking it from the warehouse in Lagos that they have to foot. So we would, when we get to that point, of course, we cannot determine that price for that logistics ahead of that time. All right, but real time, as we get closer to it, we should be able to say exactly what that would be. But as much as we can, we want to make sure that this is one of the most pleasurable experience for our people. So we would see all that we can do. In fact, maybe within the year, we should also be looking at how we could solve some of these logistics issues. Of course, whatever investment we make in that direction, like I've said, is something that is going to be for the long haul. It's going to be for the long haul. Look at all the other produce that will be coming out. Look at all the other things that we'll be doing. So whatever we can do, we will do. But the logistics for now of getting the yam from the farm to wherever you are will be borne by the owners of those produce.
Okay, so let's move on. Don't worry, we'll still open the floor for more questions, either about our products and services, about our own farm remotely packages, or the seminar that is ongoing. You will have opportunity to ask questions or make contributions. So let's move on to number 4, market access and price fluctuations.
This is one of the most important challenge, or one of the most important challenges that needs to be, well understood by anybody that is playing within this sector, or anybody that is either playing as a farmer, playing as an investor, playing as a marketer, whatever it is, at whatever level you are engaging. You need to understand the importance of the market and how to manage price fluctuations. All right. The good thing about market access and price, okay, to solve that problem, because that will always be a problem. I'm going to let me take what is currently happening in Nigeria as an example. We had the policy of this current administration that decided to open up our border, all right, for, they said, maybe 180 days, and that grains can be imported at a price that that is tax free. All right. Now the effect of that, as we speak right now, the effect of that on the grains in the market that have been locally produced has been phenomenal. Farmers that have bought high inputs, farmers that spent so much money last year. Now look at what the government did. The government did not subsidize inputs. The government did not subsidize inputs. Rather, the government is asking people to bring in stuff, and they are taking tax off it. With that, now the price of grains have now gone down. Farmers are now finding it extremely difficult to sell. Farmers are going to the market, but they can't sell. So, but what are farmers like us, what have we done differently? Number one, we diversified our production baskets. All right. Now, funny enough, we have grains, but the volume of grains that we have from our field is not large enough to make us feel the effect of keeping the grains in the store. So for us, as we speak right now, we are not looking at selling grains at all. We are not looking at our production inputs. All right. Our means of meeting our production cost is not coming from the sales of grain at this time. Rather, we are looking at tubers. All right. We did grains, we did rice, we did beans, we did maize. Beans have remained high. We have stored that as well. Despite the fact that the price of beans is high, we have stored. The prices of rice paddy has come down because large-scale millers are now importing paddies because of the policy of the government. The prices of maize has also come down because large-scale users of maize have now also been allowed by the government to import. So you can see the effect of price fluctuation. as a result of the government policy, which farmers cannot often influence, which is not 100% in the control of the farmers. So it's important for farmers to know how to manage such dynamics. So you can engage in contract farming. We did something like that last year. All right. We sold some of our, in fact, thank God for what we have also been doing with Remote Agric. We have sold, a large quantity of our yam tubers ahead. That's pretty much what the Own a Yam Farm is about. And we've done contract farming for producers who need certain grains. So we arrived at a price, which is almost like a fixed price. Whatever happens in the market is inconsequential as far as that contract is concerned. Whether it goes up or it comes down is inconsequential. What we just need to do is to supply the quantity that has already been paid for. That is contract farming, or what you call the supply agreements. You use digital platform, which is what we are currently doing as we speak. There are many people who have come on board our remote, own a yam farm, own a pig farm, that even if I meet them in the streets, I may not be able to recognize them, thanks to the digital platform. So you do both indirect and direct marketing is important. Then make sure that you can store your produce. Produce that you have produced from the field that you cannot store, you are not likely to get maximum value for it. The Own a Yam Farm February to February cohort, the reason for it is the fact that if and when you sell yam in October, the prices are often cheaper compared to the yam that is sold between February and May. All right. So once you master the storage process, everything has a process. Learn it. Gain a mastery of how to store. Whenever you can store up and allow a mop-up, a consumption mop-up, it will come a time the quantity drop. The quantity of the produce that is available in the market will drop. And you all know that the factor, it is said that market forces, the forces of demand and supply, is the reason for the change in price. All right? Once there is little to supply and there is more in demand, the price will go up. So you wait for that time before you release your produce so that you can maximize your profit.
Okay.
I yield. Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. We have pest and diseases outbreak is a challenge. How do we resolve this?
Well, resolving this challenge of pest and disease outbreak is, it's a major one. It's a major one. As we speak right now, the pest that is disturbing us in our farm right now is grasshopper. For example, we are cultivating cassava using irrigation. The leaves are coming out in bits, they are budding, and the grasshoppers are coming. What can we do? The best we can do is to, is to use pest control. And in this case, we use chemical pest control. There is nothing we can do about that. So we know which of it we can use, because if we decide to take a biological approach to it, we would need to bring in certain creatures that can feed on the grasshopper. But how many of that can we introduce to the large scale commercial cassava farm? So it's important for us at that time to be able to know which of the pest control method that we need to use. And in that case, it's the chemical method. Now, in terms of certain crop, for example, you mentioned tomatoes. Now, yes, there are certain tomatoes when you come into the normal season that are, that have resistance. But the challenge that some of us have with that is being able to identify the GMOs, because that's another issue. They're talking about genetically modified organisms, all right, when you say GMOs. And the soft spot that farmers have for those crop is this resistance issue. So there's now a trade-off. There's a trade-off. So the trade-off is either I keep my, because sometimes it's a marketing strategy. It's not as if these diseases and pests didn't exist in the times of our fathers. It existed, but they were able to still protect our own breed. They will tell you that using the market language now, they'll tell you that the Yoruba tomato is not always very good. It can be sour, it can be watery. And so, I'm talking using the market language now. They'll now tell you that the Hausa tomatoes are good, they are better, it's sweeter. Then I tell them, I say, see, there's something about what you call your Yoruba tomato that the Hausa tomato doesn't have. The fact that your Yoruba tomato can sometimes turn sour is because of the content, high quantity of vitamin C. The vitamin C that you have in that particular tomato species or that tomato breed is high. And every human being needs that vitamin C, because vitamin C cannot be stored. Why don't you take your normal Yoruba tomato and try to preserve it in manners that does not allow it to go sour, all right, before you use it to cook? Why don't you process it in manners that help you to reduce the water quantity or the water content and have tomato puree from it, so that you don't allow your own variety to go into extinction, and then you now become dependent on the so-called hybrid. The hybrids are good, that's the truth. But if you also understand the pest management, the pest management system, how to manage pests. In fact, one of the things that we do on our field to manage, some of these diseases, especially fungi, and, is that, when you use manure to prepare this produce, this crop, what you do is you allow this crop to grow very well. They grow very strong and they grow very fast. Their leaves can be thickened by the application of certain, we call them systemic pesticide. They are not contact pesticide now. They are systemic, meaning that when you apply it on the crop, the texture of the leaves becomes stronger. than when such pesticides have not been applied. So the pest can no longer cut those leaves as they would normally cut such crops that don't have such. So such pesticides are called systemic pesticides, and we use them. There are certain pesticides that you also use on the soil, that once you treat the soil, the crop can live without that disease. So you can reduce the exposure of the crop to the chemicals. Then we have what you call the withdrawal period. When you apply pesticides, once you can observe the withdrawal period, then, I mean, you have reduced the effects of the pesticide application on the crops. But let me tell you, sir, for commercial large-scale crop production, it has to be an integrated pest and disease management system. You must use both the chemical, the biological, and every other means, because if you insist that you only want to use one method, then you might not be able to break even at the end of the day. Don't forget that the Nigerian market is yet to appreciate or to give the farmers the premium that organic farming requires. Organic farming is one of the most challenging farming that anybody can do. I stand here to be corrected. I am waiting for people who are willing to come and challenge me to that. But having said that, we are ethically bound to ensure that whatever it is we are doing, we are looking at the effect on, because I mean, I eat from what I produce. So, I mean, and I also want to live long. But then again, we are looking at the issue of sustainability here. We are looking at the issues of profitability. We are looking at the issues of returns on investment. All right. And that's why it's a delicate balance, and we must work hard to arrive at that, at that point of equilibrium in the production process.
Okay, let's move on and a bit faster now. We have land access and ownership issues. I know this is a major challenges for farmers. Can you speak to that as well?
Well, for land ownership, access to land, land ownership issues, it will remain a problem for as long as the human population keeps increasing. All right, but the idea of having farm settlements, the farm estates by the government is something that has always been there. And farmers that are ready to stay in that space for as long as they want should always try to take advantage of those government owned farm estates. All right. Now, but outside that, I'm of the opinion that the same way you have the private sector come into the property space. While we were growing up, I mean, then it was always LSDPC, the Lagos State Property Development, corporation that we were always looking up to build estates. We were always looking at the Federal Housing Estates project, for them, because it was the government that, that were doing that. And when the government started failing, we saw a lot of the private sector coming into that space. The same way the governments have failed in other sectors, that the private sectors have come in. It's the same way that the private sector should come into the agricultural land ownership spaces, all right, to secure land purposely for agricultural practices. That's the next big thing, because come to think of it, we are building houses, we are building estates, people are buying big houses and they are going more hungry because the production spaces have not been guaranteed. So it's important that farmers and farmers cooperatives should be looking at securing production estates, agricultural production estates. Setting up of agricultural production estates should become an aggressive business. All right. Even within the residential spaces, people should fight for owning land that will not have residential buildings on them. Because when that is done, access to the market has been facilitated. Imagine having 4,000 square meter or 10,000 square meters or 20,000 square meters within 100,000 square meter estates. And that 10,000 square meter is purposely for agricultural production. That means the 90,000 square meter that is left to be built up has become a market for that 10,000 square meter that is targeted for agricultural production. Because as we intensify our efforts in bringing innovation into agricultural produce production, we would be able to do so much with secured land, regardless of how big or how small those spaces are. So policy reforms that support smallholder farmers owning land within and without the production estates to secure production of agricultural produce, especially food crop, is very important. But much more than that, I think the agenda for farmers and investors that loves farming should be coming into the ownership of production estates, agricultural production estates. All right, agricultural production estates. Thank you.
Can you speak more to remote agricultural production estate that is loading that will soon be unveiled very soon? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you said?
Okay, I said, can you speak to the remote agricultural production estate that will be launched very soon?
Wow, Daniel, you just want us to let all the cats out of the bag, you know. Well, yes, because, you know, every time we speak to agricultural problems, and that's what Remote Agric is all about. Remote Agric is an holistic agricultural problem solving company. We just don't want to talk and speak to problems. We like to solve those problems in manners that people can see in practical and in pragmatic ways how those problems can be solved even on a larger scale. So for people who have joined us on this bandwagon, we want to use this bandwagon to solve real problems. And you know that land, labor, and capital remains they will always remain fundamental problems, fundamental production problems that must be solved, regardless of the venture: land, labor, and capital are fundamental problems. So we believe that all of these problems should be tackled headlong. And that's why Remote Agric is also working towards ensuring that we are not just telling people that they should be securing production estates, that we also want to be securing production estates, because we are in the act of producing agricultural produce, especially of the food crop variant. And we have so much that we want to do. If we don't secure those production estates, we may not be able to do as much as we really would like to do. And that's why the agricultural production estates project is also loading. And we will want as many of our people to key into that so that we can own large parcels of land that will guarantee production as development is taking over and making. If I come to, by the time you come in February, you would see what we are talking about. You remember that when we started opening up the current production area about 15 years ago, yes, when we started opening up that, that production area, it was a thick forest. It was a thick forest because we had arrangement with the land speculator. And so the land speculator made us to open up the place while we were producing, only for us to wake up one morning and find out that the whole land has been sold to people who are not interested in farming, but are interested in building houses. Now, food is now becoming expensive in this locality, and people have been wondering, why is now this thing is now expensive? Why is vegetable now expensive? Why is gari now expensive? Why can't we get fufu at a cheaper? I said, no, you can't get it at a cheaper rate anymore, because the quantity of those produce that used to come from those production hubs have been reduced because of urban development. So while urban development is ongoing, we should also be securing part of those spaces that are being used for urban development. I hope you understand the strategy. I hope you understand the logic. So within those spaces, you will maintain certain dimension for agricultural production. And once that is done, you can secure that market. You don't need to be looking for markets, because the people who have come to build must eat. And from there, you can sell your product. So we at Remote Agric, we are already working on the production estates, ownership of production estates. And so we would need every member on our platform to take advantage of that for a lifetime of investment in agricultural production and securing food. That's fundamental to us, securing food. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, and well done on all the points and topics. We have 3 to go. Poor agricultural extension services. What do you have to say to that?
Well, as it is, truth of the matter is, and I'm sure our participants should be comfortable with the fact that Remote Agric is providing platform to solve this problem. Agricultural extension services, we will be very soon, the Remote Agric company will be employing agric extension officers. All right, we'll be employing agric extension officers to give agric extension services. Don't forget that we are creating a production ecosystem. All right, and within those production ecosystem, our system would be able to employ the agric extension officers and get them paid very well. Don't forget that we are also in the services of solving, agricultural farm problems. I mean, we have people who would normally call us and ask us to come for farm visit, kindly help us. We have this problem, we have that problem. And for all of those problems that we are solving, we can have our agric extension officers going around rendering those services. Now, before, the government used to have them in numbers. The government used to have them in droves. And unfortunately, the government stopped employing agric extension officers. All right. And because of that, in fact, even the ones that were employed were not really encouraged. The other aspect of it is that some of these agric extension officers that are employed by the government do not have the modern day experience of what is happening on the field. All right. I mean, there are land that the government used to have before that were used for agricultural production that have now been converted on the planning approval list, where you now have planning approvals, that have changed the, the zoning, land zoning. You find, I mean, even the government by itself is changing the zoning. Places that have been zoned for agricultural production are now being rezoned for urban development. So those extension officers no longer have their field to gather the requisite experience. So for farmers who believes in the services of agricultural extension officers or agricultural extension persons, they can connect within the farmers production cooperatives, all right? Because within our farmers production cooperative, we will have right within those cooperative extensions, extension services officers, all right? And I mean, partner with NGOs, partner with research institutes for knowledge sharing, and then the creation of platforms for production networking. I mean, you could hear about Rice Producers Association, blah, 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 join them. Cassava Producer Association, join them. It's not compulsory that you take everything they say, hook, line, and sinker, but you can actually glean. You can take some information from there and then use it. Now, you can also, having been a member of this platform, you can ask questions with respect to whatever challenges you are having in your production processes, in your agricultural production process. Ask those questions. We are willing and very ready at Remote Agric to help to solve those problems.
Okay, let's move on. We have post-harvest losses.
Post-harvest losses. Wow. Well, in this day and age, there is no reason why farmers should have this. All right. I often tell people, I say, see, the most difficult aspect of the work is cultivating the land, planting, managing, post-emergence management of the crop, taking care of the crop till maturity. I often tell people when they work on our field during harvest, I say, see, this is the most important aspect of our work. So we don't joke with it. Right? So I think farmers just need to create that mentality, that habit of saying, I am not interested in any form of waste whatsoever. No wastage. You know, so once you switch to that kind of mode, it will be difficult for you to have post. I mean, look at, it's a post harvest. Even harvest itself is a lot of work. Okay, getting the job done at harvest is a lot of work. So how would you now? Why should you now allow, that much work that you have done to get, become wasted? There are different ways of storing things now. So farmers should try and find out which will work best for them. All right, explore cooperative storage solution to reduce costs. Engage in value addition, drying, milling, or processing the produce. All right. Invest in improved storage facilities and preservation techniques. Very important. And there is no investment that you do with respect to harvest preservation that is a loss. All right. So that is very important.
Okay, let's move to number 9, limited mechanization and technology use.
Yes. You know that every time I talk about this, it's always very limited mechanization and technology use is a major problem for the farmers. But then again, I often also tell farmers that necessity is the mother of invention. All right. Farmers should always, if you are busy doing your work and you are doing it very well, you will need to adapt and adopt technology. You need to, yes, I spoke about an equipment that we got some years ago. And when you come around, as many people that will come around for the farm visit, they would see how well we have adapted those equipments for other functions. All right, how we have adapted it for other functions. So, it's important that farmers should gain a mastery of their production processes and then be able to identify the relevant mechanization. You understand what I mean? So, because truth of the matter is, mechanizing agricultural production can be very, very expensive. It's highly capital intensive. It's not that farmers don't want to, but it's extremely capital intensive. So I often tell people, I say, see, break it down to the necessity space. Come into the necessity. What has necessitated your need for mechanization? Once you can answer that question, you might be able to, get a handle of it. So, truth is, technology is not cheap. Mechanization is not cheap. All right. So look for ways by which you can get the job done in manners that, for me and for us at Remote Agric, what we do, I often tell people, I say, see, in Africa, human labor is still very cheap. See, it is cheap. That is the truth. Mechanization is extremely expensive. You know why? It's power dependent. You have to burn fossil fuel for mechanization. And power, energy. The energy sector is another thing entirely. Diesel is the power fuel for agricultural mechanization. And it's now extremely expensive. So why don't you, by the time you do your calculation and you do your standard calibration of your costs, you will now find out that human labor is cheaper. Get more people on your field, all right, to solve that problem. So that as you grow into what you do, all right, because you're not going to get loan. You're not getting infrastructural loan. You're not getting mechanization loan. You are not able to insure your equipment. So don't forget all of those challenges. All right, limited mechanization and technology use, it will always be there. All right, till the day Africa decides to go industrial, full scale. So poor infrastructure, roads, electricity, water, those will forever remain a big issue for us farmers in Africa, and especially in Nigeria. But like I've always said to farmers, whatever investment you need to make your job easier to do, please get it done. Farmers should come together in groups, in network groups, in platforms. Farmers should speak up, should engage the policymakers. It's unfortunate that there's a huge disconnect from the field and the policymaker. It's unfortunate. But then again, I often also say that the real farmers don't have the time for discussion. They don't have the time for jojoing. You go today to a meeting, you go tomorrow for another meeting, you go next tomorrow for another meeting. By the time you come back, the whole season is gone. And that's why farmers don't really, have that. They don't care. So what I often tell farmers like me is that make sure that your hands are filled up with so much to do that you are churning out the revenue. Once you can churn out the revenue, you will be able to buy whatever it is that you need to. Imagine that you have your farm. Imagine that we have the production estates and we can do the proper layout. We can do basic construction. We could, you could generate, of course, Dayo can also bear witness your trip to Kano. You saw companies that were generating their own energy. Farmers can do the same. It's a business where you cannot lose. You cannot lose. Whatever investment you make into your farming process, whatever investment you make into farming, agricultural production, you will eventually get it back. The returns will come back. The returns on investment will come back. It's the time frame might be the issue, but it will always come back. All right. Buy equipment that you can buy technology that you can buy. There are off-the-shelf technology. You could do off-grid installations for electricity. You could do borehole for water source. You could grade your own road. You could bring heavy-duty equipment to do grading. Of course, if you have your own production estate, doing your road within your production estate is not a loss to you. All right. And this is one of the things that we want. This is one of the things that we really want to do as a production powerhouse. Yes. Yes, that should be it. And I don't know if there are questions. I'll be willing to answer questions. And yes.
Thank you very much. Let's give a round of applause for our Chief Operating Officer at Remote Agric and our co-founder for that wonderful response to all the challenges. This is not all the challenges, at least top 10 challenges that farmer faces. Sina says, for the people that join late, can we get record? Yes, this event is recorded, so you are going to get the replay of this session. We want to appreciate you, sir, for all that you do for the industry and for this wonderful presentation tonight. If you have questions, please drop it in the meeting chat. If you want to make contributions or ask questions, you can raise up your hand. We'll give you the opportunity to do so. So while we drop our questions, let me quickly take us through what we have for us at Remote Agri currently. So our own AI farm project, we are launching the February to February own AI farm cohort 2. So for cohort 1, they pay 1,300 naira per unit. For this cohort 2, it is 1,500 naira per unit. So if you are not part of cohort 1, then this is another opportunity for you to be part of cohort 2. The cohort 2 price has increased to 1,500. We are going to update the document and drop for us in the group for people that will want to know about it. Our own yam farm project, the own a pig farm project, the unit is still 2,000 naira per unit, and you will have opportunity to be able to be part of this own a pig farm project. Is a massive project that is ongoing. So you can do 1,000 units, 2,000 units, 500 units, depending on your capacity. One unit is 2,000 naira. Then the minimum unit is 10 units. That's 20,000 naira. So we've had quite a lot of people that have done that. So you want to be part of this amazing project that's ongoing. Okay. So the impact of Remote Agri is becoming massive and huge. The economic impact is massive. Currently, we've been applying for some form of grants year in, year out. And by the time we receive our major grant, we'll do the announcement as well, because I'm very sure that we are going to have a celebration on Remote Agri very soon. We are talking to investors as well that will be able to have private placement in Remote Agri. So promotion of food security is part of what we promote. Empowering non-farmers to participate in agriculture is one of the key areas that we are leading right now. And also rural development and infrastructure improvement is one of the things that we do as well. So the quarter of the yam package is ongoing for 1,500 naira. Let's look at some of the questions that might have dropped and the people that have raised up their hands for question. So Oyediro Asimiu, you have the floor. You can ask your question.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you and the presenter. One of the questions I want to ask is how to go about securing labor. So because I face challenge as was narrated by our presenter regarding landholding, I face a lot of problem with this estate developer. We drag ourselves to court so many times. So at the end of the day, I have to leave the place for them. So, but the bigger problem we are facing now is how to secure the new labor. So, because we normally face a theft issue, they always come during the night. We install a CCTV, you cannot even locate them. I don't know how you can go about that. So that's my question.
Okay, so Mr. Dare, you can respond to that. The question on labor.
Mr. Ashimiu, that problem is a peculiar problem. I can see Mr. Dayo smiling because he knew what we've had to go through in the last 1 month. All right. We had our original arrangement for labor. The team lead, the person that leads our workforce, has been with us for about 4 years. If he came back this December, it would have been the 5th year that the person would have been working with us. But unfortunately, we paid them to bring them back, and they decided not to show up. Are you still with me?
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Good. Now, but because of our years of engagement in the sector, are you getting it? As I speak to you right now, in fact, we got a new farm manager who is more experienced, who is, I mean, who has been a workhorse. And today, we 4 additional farm hands just arrived from Taraba. All right. So we have been in the arts. We understand the human psychology. All right. So we try to make sure that our farm hands are not just functioning and working with us as just farm hands. We try to let them have a part of the business. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, so giving them that assurance of being a part owner of the business gives them that guarantee that, I mean, take for example, the current person who's doubling as our farm manager right now. We are committed to ensuring that he has his family relocated from Taraba down to our farm location. All right. And the reason we have decided to do that is because we always try to make them a part of the farm. So we go overboard in terms of meeting their needs. I mean, immediately I interviewed the young man, I found out he just went back home sometime around November to go and get married. And here he is back in town to start his work in January. A person that just got married in November. So I said, come, I'm not going to take you if you are not willing to bring your wife. I said, hey, okay. You mean you want me to bring my wife? I said, yes. There's no point. You just got married. Okay. You paid 400,000 naira as bat price. 400,000 naira. Outside all the to bring. I said, no. I said, I would not allow, by the time I engaged him in that conversation, he saw himself like a younger brother. See that human psychology. Solve your need. All right. So our responsibility, okay, for him. And I told him, I said, on or before the 14th of February, I'll try and when you talk around the issue of the show, and we already have an accommodation to solve the problem of that particular guy. And as I speak to you, he's already made house ready for the arrival of the wife, and the farm is footing that bill. Are you getting the point? Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, and with this particular person secured in our farm, we have now also been able to get additional 4 people from that same space. So sometimes it's in the human psychology management, how you manage human relationship. This is a young man that I've known for years, who has not been able to work with me, but who have always been hiding the opportunity to work with us.
Okay, the
So
network.
immediately I also saw that window. I immediately went for him. All right. Don't need to add on people. Hear me.
Okay,
So
the network was breaking at some point, but I know that he has listened to the response, and he will be able to
I will have to, sir. Very, very clear. Thank you, sir.
yeah,
yeah.
gotten the point.
Yes, yes. All right. So
Yes,
if we don't
yes,
have
yeah, good,
further
fantastic.
questions, if we don't have further questions, we will be able to continue in the WhatsApp group by updating us some of the new documents that will come out, especially for the launch of our cassava farm, own a cassava farm remotely. Let's watch out for the document on own a cassava farm remotely. The document for own a pig farm remotely, we have that already. Then a document for Core 2 own a yam farm remotely, February to February. We will update our existing document and share in the group as well. If you today is 31st, and today it marks the end of the October to October. If you are on this call today, you have interest in the yam farm, and you want to participate in the 1,003 package, and you can pay before 12 midnight. You can still pay your 1,300 based on any number of units you want. You want 1,000 units, that's 1.3 million. After tonight, the next package we have will be 1,500. So if you are doing 1,000 units, that will be 1.5 million. So let's take advantage of all these opportunities that we have for us in remote agri. We want to appreciate everyone that stayed throughout this 2 hours program. It has been a wonderful conversation with our co-founder, who also doubles as our chief operating officer at Remote Agri, Mr. Oluda Imudashiru. Thank you so much for being a wealth of sharing wealth of experience for us today as we look at this beautiful topic on challenges and solutions for problems that farmers faces. So we are going to wrap up. So from your own end, do you have final uh, wrap up from your own end? Then we close.
Well, yeah, I just want to encourage as many people that are already on our platform to stick with the platform. It's going to be a huge thing. You want to you just want to make sure that you take advantage of everything that is being done here, because in another 2-3-4 years, you will be proud or near of the next big thing that is going to be happening in
Okay, thank you very much. We want to appreciate everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Damilola. Thank you, Peculiar. Thank you, Omoni. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Elisha. Thank you, Ediron. I also saw Mr. Luca, also Mrs. Lillian. They are all part of remote agri projects. They are all part of our remote farmers. They've put in their money. They all own their own part of the Yam Farm project. We want to appreciate everyone for what you are doing. If you have not been part of this and you want to be part of this remote agri and part of our project, what we are launching today, be part of it. And the opportunity we gave before 12 midnight today if you want to be part of the 1,300 package for the YAM package, you can reach out. And if you want to be part of the 1,500 as from tomorrow, that will be open up for us. Thank you very much as I end the call today. Thank you all.